This has been one of the most intense days that I've had for months, and in both good and bad ways. I actually don't know if I believe in bad anymore, per se. It's more just opportunities to grow for me. But something that I've realized is that as a godly person, when you are in the midst of other godly people, you might not know if you are somebody that is not used to being appreciated, that's not used to being around people that are actually authentic. You might not realize how valued you are by these kinds of people because you're so used to narcissists, you're so used to energy vampires, you're so used to people that they just don't care to try. Because that's really the biggest indicator in any kind of relationship, is just the willingness to try, that you're in a healthy relationship of some kind. Because everybody makes mistakes, and everybody's going to be able to either own up to their mistakes or be able to set boundaries. And if you must set boundaries, which I think everybody ought to have some kind of form of boundaries, but if you must set boundaries, and you've got to be capable of being harsh with those boundaries sometimes. And it's not like you're trying to be rigid. It's not like you're trying to hurt the person. But you have to make it very, very clear that what you want and what they want, like if you're not going to be playing the same game, so to speak, then you can't have a solution. But if you both want to play the same game, well, okay, now you can get somewhere. Now you can be somewhere new. Now you can continue forward and move forward. And that's really what the most important quality of a healthy relationship dynamic is it's just the ability to move forward. And patience, I think, as well. Patience and kindness and true compassion. But you might be more valued to some of the people in your life more so than you realize. And it's only your silence, and it's only when you're gone that, or you're able to set the boundary that I can walk away if I need to, that the true nature of their colors and the true colors that they have are going to show. Or they're going to try to love bomb you back into being with you. But people that try to love bomb you into, change, I can change, it's like, you don't need to listen to those kinds of people. You don't need to be around those kinds of people. Well, how do you determine what's a love bomb and what's not? Well, you've kind of got to discern spiritually on what that is and what that looks like. But the biggest indicator is, you're following the laws, statutes, and commandments of God. And if they're not about that, then they're not about that. However, if you can be about that, if you and this person can be about that, then things can happen. But your silence is sometimes going to determine how to reclaim your power in a situation. Because it's not always about having a reaction to things. You don't always need to react to things when things are happening. You don't always need to have a reaction. But you do need to have an appropriate action to take upon the circumstances that are being portrayed and relayed before you. And if you don't have a proper action to take, then you must create one. And sometimes the only way to create a proper mode of being is through silence. Now, I'm not saying that you should stonewall or anything like that in your relationships. I don't think that's healthy either. But I'm also not saying that you should demean the value of your words for no reason. You want to be very careful about how you're choosing to operate in your life and how you're choosing to live your life. And you don't want to give more weight to your words than necessary, because if you try to put an emphasis on your words and there's no true meaning behind them, well then what's the point? Your words are just going to drag you down. Instead of having weight behind your words, your words are going to carry weight. Now, what I mean by that is your words are going to carry this sense of drought in your soul, this lack of zest for life. So you want to be mindful of this. But something that I've learned today is that you have to be able to communicate properly. And maybe you are the stupid son of a gun that is operating in the relationship. You might be right about a few things. You might be right. But you might be that stupid son of a gun that contributed to a misunderstanding. You might be a stupid son of a gun that maybe you need to look at how your actions and your words carried to the situation that occurred. And I'm someone that doesn't claim to be perfect, but I like to think that I do my best to really try to ensure that the people around me are feeling heard and seen at all times, the ones that I care about. And because I don't really pay attention to people that I just don't need to pay attention to. Like, I just, it's not that I don't care about the people per se or don't have love for them, but it's like I don't need to show anything because I don't really know them, right? But if they're people that I know, even acquaintances, I strive to make sure that they feel heard and seen in my presence and that they feel like they can connect with me. And I think that's really one thing that a lot of people will miss out on in this life, is that they will try to connect with people that cannot be connected to. They don't even have a self, a lot of these people out here. I hate to say it. I really hate to say this, because I don't like to demean or say demeaning things, really, but a lot of these people are just NPCs. They're just empty vessels. There's no self for them. Like, there's no self for you to connect to them, even if you wanted there to be. So you have to have the discernment and the spiritual attuneness and awareness to discern who has a self and who doesn't. And if you don't know who has a self and who doesn't, you probably don't have yourself just yet. And that's just the God's honest truth right there. And you've got to make sure that you guys are both, like, or whoever's involved in the parties, you know, like if it's one party or two parties, whatever. However many individuals are involved in the communication, you have to make sure that everybody's aligned to some degree. And this is one thing that's been very interesting about the Regal Change Academy group that we have. Now, because obviously on the one hand, it's an online school. And on the other hand, it's a community. You know, it's basically its own community in of itself. So there's two parts to it, right? And what I've noticed is that, you know, the more we have people coming in, the more different kinds of energy they're bringing. And this is good. A lot of it is great. But a lot of people also, they think that they have a few things more figured out than they really do. And I'm not saying anybody in particular here, but this was like, I'm thinking of an example from a few months ago. I guess it was December. You know, we had somebody join the group and they were practically demanding people to live by certain ways of life. And I told this person that that's not how things roll here. That's not how we do things. We don't force people to believe anything in this group. And they were pretty upset about it, and we had to unfortunately terminate that person's membership, because I'm not the kind of person like to tolerate that kind of thing. And this is another thing, like having a community of different kinds of people and being exposed to constantly new people sometimes. Like, we have a lot of people that are veterans of the community, let's say, but we also have people that are coming in all the time that are new, and it's very fascinating to hear their story and get their intentions behind why they're there. And a lot of people just want to have this feeling of connection. They really do. But people like this person that we terminated the membership for, because I don't like to do that. I really don't. But I will if I think that it's necessary for the safety, spiritually speaking, of the community that we have. I will cut off that person, because I know that your network is your net worth. And I mean this, and I've said this a lot recently, but at least in the online calls that we've had for the Academy. But your network is your net worth. So you have to be mindful of this. You have to be very careful and cautious that the people that you're inviting in your life are not going to drain you. Now, if there's an exchange of energy, a sharing, it's not really an exchange. I don't like to say exchange, it's a sharing. If there's a giving and a receiving of energy, then that's a good relationship. But if there's a taking of energy, I never have experienced a relationship like that, or a business partnership like that, where things work out for the better. It's always a sharing of information and energy that gets the job done, and that builds people up. And that's the great thing about being exposed to new people, right? Is like, you're going to learn in the group, for example, you're going to learn how to communicate with people. You're not just there to be not alone. Okay, you're there to learn, and you're there to learn about your emotional, intellectual, and spiritual dynamics, and how to communicate that properly and articulate that with other people. And this is something I do with my one-on-one mentorships too. It's fascinating, because it depends on the person, right? That sometimes a person wants or needs the one-on-one more so than the group, and vice versa. Sometimes the person needs the group more than the one-on-one. But the people that are one-on-one, they're likely, in my experience, what I've seen is they're not necessarily always feeling lonely. They're feeling misunderstood. Whereas the people that are joining the community, they don't feel like they're misunderstood all the time. Some of them do, perhaps, but they feel like they just don't have people to relate to. It's not a misunderstanding. It's not a loneliness per se. It's more of like a misunderstanding. I guess it depends on the person, but these are just a few of the patterns that I've seen, and I think this is one of the reasons why we have to make proper decisions in our life. We have to make sure that we're communicating properly. We have to make sure that we are living what is true for each and every one of us, and that we are moving ever closer to the truth of whatever it is that we are operating in. And so I think, some people, they may not understand the value of certain things like this, but it's because, something I was told by somebody recently was like, the reason that poor people stay poor is because they think everybody's trying to take something from them. And that goes in line with being unhealthy in your mindset. A lot of people who are unhealthy in their mindset, they're too focused on what they don't have or what other people are trying to take from them, that they're not focused enough on what they can give to other people. It's as simple as that. And I think healthy people with healthy mindsets are going to have this kind of perspective of life, where they see that in order to be healthy, you have to give. You give and you receive, but you don't ever take. All right? So I think I said that everything that I wanted to say in this video topic for today. It's a beautiful day out. It's been really raining and stormy here for the last few days, so I've been having to stay inside with these videos, but I'm pleased to come back outside. You can see it's super green. So I love the greenness, you know, the mountaintops here. We still have snow on the tops of the mountains because it's been super rainy and kind of chilly, but compared to the last couple weeks we've had. But yeah, we can still see the snow on the mountaintops. I suspect by the end of the month the snow will be melted, but you know, the weather's supposed to be a little bit nicer. But I've really enjoyed these kinds of days, you know, where you're being challenged. Because that's the thing about being in a healthy relationship too, right? Is of any kind, is you don't really want to have a yes man or a yes person. Like, you don't want a people pleaser. But you also don't want people that can't negotiate or compromise. You want somebody that can, you know, build you up and support you, but also tell you when you're being a dumb son of a gun sometimes, all right? So with all that being said, I hope everybody stays blessed out there. If you do want to sign up for the free Telegram group chat that we have, it's more of a channel, I suppose. If you want to sign up for that, the link is in the description box below, along with the other links for a free 15-minute call to sign up for the Regal Change Academy group that we have. Because I understand some people might not understand entirely what it is and they want to learn more about it. So we have that free 15-minute call available for you. You can check that out. I also have the one-on-ones to schedule for the links in the description box below as well. And I appreciate everybody tuning in, dropping a like or a comment, subscribing or following. And peace be with you all. Until next time.